can't describe it to you, Scott. I didn't know what the purpose of life was and I didn't know what the meaning was, but there was something inside of me that said, you need to fucking keep carrying on. You need to wake up and you need to carry on. So I was just trying my best to live.
But what's your memory of Love Island?
Do you know what? When I look back to Love Island, I see like a vulnerable, scared little girl that wanted to be loved, wanted to be seen, but didn't have her voice. All I ever wanted, Scott, was to be loved and to find my soulmate. I remember that.
I remember that even on Love Island.
Yeah, I just wanted, I want a deep connection. I want something so pure and real. And of course I wasn't gonna find it in that state of mind.
Like you said, we've got all these like misconceptions around like rehab and stuff.
Massively.
But at the same time it can be so transformative.
Yeah.
Like it was for you.
So I remember being in the hospital and I was like, what the hell? And every time I went through this vicious cycle, I'm not gonna drink, I'll go 2 months sober, 1 month, a few weeks, I'd end up in the same cycle. I was trying to be like everyone else but me. And so what my journey has done to me is brought me back to me. Who the fuck is Malin Andersson? I'm here sat in my whole worthy self, as whole as I can be right now. And I'm doing the inner work. And whatever's going on in here, I want to represent around me. And I want to attract all these things that are for me. And when we sit still, then they can come through. Just as you said, you're doing the work, you're eating better for you, you're exercising, you're talking, you're speaking your mind, you're living your truth. And when we live our truth, like the truth is all around us.
Just before this episode starts, I want to let you know out of courtesy that there may be some references and triggers around substance abuse. Malin, yes! How are you, darling? Welcome to my crib.
Oh my God, how
Look at you. Oh my God, you look amazing. Wow.
God, it's so weird, isn't it?
It's like stepping through like history. Yeah, it's weird, man.
I'm Malin Andersson and I'm on the learning as I go.
Guys, wow, this is a special moment. Malin Andersson, my fellow Love Island buddy from 2016. I don't think we've seen each other for years now.
It's been years.
And you look amazing. But you are now an author, a motivational speaker, an advocate for positivity, mental health, and so much more. And you are looking $1 million, can I just say?
Thank you. You're looking amazing too.
I'm trying to keep up. I had to step up today. I knew you were coming into the building. But honestly though, man, like, wow, first of all, let's take it back to Love Island, right? Because I think a lot of our followers and stuff will remember, would have first followed us around that time. And that was a special time in my life. I look back on it now and go, you know what? As tough as it was and everything else, like the memories that we created and even like the platform we were given from that show has been life-changing, right? And I just want to try and get your kind of, because you didn't have it easy on Love Island either. You never had it easy in life, right? But what's your like memory of Love Island?
Do you know what? When I look back to Love Island, when I don't really see clips and I haven't watched it. I never watched it back. But the girl that I was, I say girl, because I was just a little child still in my body. And I see like a vulnerable, scared little girl that wanted to be loved, wanted to be seen, but didn't have her voice. And I look back at that former version of myself, right? Every day when I wake up, I want to elevate who I am. I want to be a different version of myself every morning. And when I take it back 6 years, it's a completely different person. I can't recognize her. And it makes me sad a little bit because I was mentioning to you earlier, I think I was just living day to day through life, trying to be seen, trying to be heard, and wanting validation from everything but me. And so when I take it back and I see how I was and kind of what I wanted from life, it couldn't be more different than I am now. It's just so weird. It's like I'm looking at a different person completely.
Wow. I just resonated with that so much because people message me all the time going, Scott, I'm watching series 2 and fair play, you're like a completely different person. And I was like completely lost when I look back in there. And I was going on there for all the wrong reasons. Like I wanted that, I'm a little bit like you, I wanted that external validation. I even today, I still struggle because I thrive off that, like in terms of, and I don't know where that comes from. My therapist says it comes from my dad not being around as a kid, so I was always looking for love and everything else. But when you were on that show, what was it you were like going on there looking for? Were you looking for love or were you looking to kind of find more about yourself?
No, I was looking for fame. I'm going to be real. I was looking for a career boost, recognition, a bit of the limelight, and it was all for self-gain in a sense of there was no self-discovery involved. I didn't know who I was. My mum was quite ill at the time. I remember that because she died about a year post Love Island. So I I don't know if you read it, but in my book, I only just spoke about it in my book. I was abused about 3 weeks before I went into the villa. And so there was a police case going on whilst I was in the villa. So I blocked that out to my mind. And so the producers gave me like a keyword so my sister could say to me that everything was okay with what the police were doing. And I remember Lewis, the producer, came in and told me the keyword. I think it was like, your sister's pregnant. That was what we made up.
Wow.
And I had a bit of a sense of relief. But there was a lot going on in my head. And what I used to do, Scott, was numb whatever would come through. So any feeling or emotion that wasn't giving me what I wanted, I didn't want to feel it. I just wanted to thrive and be happy in the wrong scenarios. How do I say it? So I didn't want to feel pain. I didn't want to feel the pain of my dad not being around when I was younger. And so I seeked it in men, you know, and all the wrong relationships. And I just wanted to drink and escape. Me and you, I think we just drank the most in the villa.
Yeah, we did.
Do you remember we used to take everyone's glasses?
I was calling like little mini like rebellions when I say, guys, we're not going out tonight unless we have some drink. And you know what? It's so true, because one thing that I've started to do now, and it comes with growth, is like try and sit with an emotion. Like for a minute, like none of us want to sit with an emotion. I think it comes down to the social media world that we live in. It's almost like, oh, something bad's coming, right, jump on social media, get some dopamine. Or, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm feeling a certain type of way, let's go out tonight and kind of drink our problems away. I actually did a post about it today going, when you're going through a tough time, probably the worst thing you can do is drink, because your problem's going to be 10 times worse. But that was our coping mechanism back then. And I just think like, how did you go from that position then in Love Island? And obviously you know what, looking back, you've never had it easy, Malin. Like you were literally one of the island favourites. I remember it like it was yesterday. You and Terry at the time. Oh, God. At the time you were like the number one couple, and then basically they just snatched you away and you got removed from. So like, how did you deal with those kind of knocks?
It's weird. All the sequences of events that have happened in my life, when I look now, they were all for my growth. And what I was doing wrong in all those situations that I was dealt with were I was looking outside of myself for the answer, whether it would be drugs, alcohol, shopping, men, fame, work, career, the wrong friends, wrong crowd, materialistic shit, cars, money. I was looking everywhere but myself. And so when I was hit with my mum getting cancer for the second time and then it spreading to her stomach, she died really quickly, Scott. So it was about a year post-villa. They told her she had stomach cancer and then she died. And so I cut all my hair off. Do you remember? I cut it really short.
Yes.
Like Halle Berry. I was like, fuck this. Do you remember? I was just like Britney Spears, fuck.
Yeah.
And I looked at my mum dying and I thought, whoa, okay, everything that I've done to this day has just been bullshit. Like I've just been kind of floating through life like a little fairy with no kind of repercussions. And it was like the universe, it was giving me these events to make me grow through it. And I didn't see it like that. I thought I was a victim. I was like, fuck, why do I keep going through shit? Poor me, poor me attitude. Yeah. And then when my mum died, boom, there was the awakening and that shift that I needed. But then I met my ex, whatever he is, and I was stuck in an abusive relationship, and then I got pregnant and I lost Consy. I say it quite quickly because I've processed it and I've kind of dealt with that now. But that was a period of my life, those few years, where all of these things were happening and I wanted to know why, and I was stuck in a rut.
Oh, do you know what? It's so mad you say that, because I was listening to something, a podcast recently, and it said that basically the universe will serve you up lessons, right? And events to teach you kind of lessons and guide you. And if you don't learn from those lessons the first time or the second time, they get gradually worse until they hit you and you go, you know what, you're almost at rock bottom and you've got to learn. Yeah. So let's talk about you and your mum. You're obviously very close with your mum, and I can't even fathom for 1 minute losing my mum in the way that you did. Like, how did you cope in that situation?
It was a really weird one. My mum was like my mum and my dad in my life, because obviously my dad passed away when I was little. So I remember when I was a kid, my biggest fear was losing my mum. And I'd go to bed each night praying to God. That was the way I was brought up as a kid. I was a Christian. And that was my biggest fear in life, losing my mum. So I remember really clearly when she became ill and had chemo for the last time, I didn't want to face it. I didn't even want to see her. I'd go out and get pissed. I'd go on the session and then I'd return and I'd feel even fucking worse. My come downs were suicidal, awful, like depressed in the house. And I didn't want to face what was happening really, like around me. And then when she died, it was like my life had restarted again. It was like she had to go for me to grow the fuck up and learn and then learn more about myself. And so these shifts and these timelines of events started to happen in my life the domestic abuse, the baby loss, the eating disorders, all of these little narratives were tests from the universe and bringing themselves forward so I could actually deal with them instead of running away. And the last fucking thing that I had to deal with, well, we always have more, was the alcohol, Scott. I couldn't understand my relationship with alcohol. Why couldn't I have one? Was it normal? Oh, I can have 1 or 2. Why does cocaine get involved after 4 or 5? Why do I want that? What am I running away from? I've had countless therapies. I've had so much learning, healing, self-development, but that was the last bit on my agenda. And then as soon as I stopped the alcohol, my whole life fucking changed.
Yeah, but at the same time, Malin, like, for example, obviously I struggle with alcohol as well, and I had to hit rock bottom to kind of learn from that. But losing your mum, right, is one thing. But then obviously having your first child, Consy, you named after your mum, right?
Yeah.
And then to lose her after, was it 4 weeks?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
I mean, that's not a lesson that I think anybody should
No.
be served up from the universe.
I know.
Like, do you know what I mean? When you talk about not being a victim, I mean, it must be really
Yeah.
hard not to feel like a victim in that
Yeah.
situation. How did you kind of process that?
It was like my nervous system. I've had to learn about it, but I was living in such a functioning state of fight or flight and high anxiety. My body seemed to just absorb any pain. And it was when baby Consy died, I screamed into the hospital. They said her heart stopped beating and I screamed so loudly. And then I was faced with this man that was beating me. Like I had nowhere to go to. My mum had died. And so when I think back, I had to put myself back into those shoes that I was wearing when I was there. And then I just kept living and it felt like all I was doing was living. I wasn't really functioning. I can't describe it to you, Scott. I think I didn't know what the purpose of life was and I didn't know what the meaning was, but there was something inside of me that said, you need to fucking keep carrying on. You need to wake up and you need to carry on. And I was doing so. I was just trying my best to live. And then when I started to talk about my experiences a little bit, it shifted a mindset in me where I could help other people with what I was going through. But then we were in a sticky situation because I wasn't helping myself still. Then I was then focusing on helping all these other people with my loss, you know? So I don't know how I got through it, but some almighty fucking force dragged me through that.
Yeah. And I think, listen, I've got goosebumps then because I feel like this is your purpose, like being on a platform like right now, helping other people and guiding them through your journey in order to help them. And I think sometimes like even when I was struggling with alcohol, I was this big party boy, I kept thinking, one day I'm going to talk about this.
Wow, so you knew?
Yeah, one day I said, I was actually still filming content talking about like my struggles with drink, but wouldn't put it out there because
I did.
Yeah, I'd stopped drinking and then I wouldn't put it out there because I thought I'm not going to stick to it.
Yeah.
But it's like I always knew that was going to be my message for some reason. Yeah. But then I also had Steph Ellswood on my podcast once, and she mentioned something about emotional broadcasting. So I feel like what you just touched on it there, it's almost like, and I'm a little bit like that sometimes, it's like I'm going through something and then I want to talk about it and help other people, but you've not actually dealt with it.
Yeah, I haven't addressed it ourselves.
You've not dealt with it yourself. And I feel like that's where you're at now at this point.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Consy. How do you say it?
Consy.
Consy. Beautiful name, by the way. Like, she is obviously, she's you, right? Like that was your, I can't even imagine the pain that you were going through at that time. How, to this day, have you managed to kind of deal with that? Do you feel like she's still with you? Because obviously I've lost my dad and I feel like, I can't compare it really because my dad was old and everything else, but like, how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? Yeah.
Because grief is just the maddest feeling, you know? It's just the most bizarre. They're here, then they're not. And I've embarked on such a spiritual journey. Sometimes I hate the term spiritual because it's so open, where all I've done is come back to myself. I've come back home to myself. And this is what my journey has brought me to bring me back to my whole authentic self. And if that meant having to lose my mum and my daughter, I can feel them around me all the time. I can see messages. We're talking about synchronicity. I see numbers. But when it comes to baby Consy, I remember looking at her and thinking, if you survived, I'd be stuck with him for the rest of my life. I would have been stuck with this abusive man, which I didn't even know what he was doing to me at the time. And that would have been forever. It's like she looked at me. I remember she opened her eyes once. She looked at me and it was like an old soul, man. And it went through my body and she closed her eyes. And it felt fucking weird. And it was like she came to say hi and that was it. And I'm a huge believer. I have to try and process stuff. Scott in my head, well, why did this happen to me? Well, I need a reason. But sometimes there's not a reason for everything. But what I do know about the deaths around me is that I see life very differently now, that the purpose of life is that we lose, we love, we lose. And then there is an end game. And then something happens after that. Who knows what it is? But there's so many soul teachings that we go through.
But something you just said then, that just hit me then, because she came to say hi, and that was kind of a nice way to say it. But I feel like you've taken a lesson from that. She came to say hi as if to say, like, I've been here to give you a message, kind of thing, to say, and I'm now going to set you free.
Yeah, that's I got goosebumps. It was to set me free, 1,000,000%. And from the get-go, a little body that's in an incubator with so much crap being pumped through her body, like, I was in denial about whether she'd survive or not anyway. I was like, no, I've lost my mum. There's going to be a reason for this. She'll be fine. And so when she died, I didn't actually expect it. You don't think like that. You think everything's going to be okay. And the minute she died, I could then see her dad for what he was. And then I worked on separating from him. And I think I traveled a lot that year. And then I broke free from him. And there were so many lessons involved and tests, but that was it. It was literally to set me free from the pain that I was in at that time.
So let's talk about your ex. Like, can we mention his name?
Yeah, Tom Kemp.
Tom Kemp, right? So how did you meet? And was it kind of all bad from the start, or was it something that developed?
I met him at a house party fueled off cocaine.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'll be real. I was in a bad place. My mum had died and I was partying all the time. You attract what you are in that very moment. And when I say that, I didn't attract the abuse, because we don't invite these things into our life. But the person that I was, vulnerable, weak, fear, scared, anxious, I was going to be around things that were like that. I was mirroring back these things to me. And I remember seeing him and, and it kind of just went from there. And again, I was seeking validation. I wanted to be loved. All I ever wanted, Scott, was to be loved and to find my soulmate. I remember that.
I remember that even on Love Island.
Yeah, I want a deep connection. I want something so pure and real. And of course, I wasn't going to find it in that state of mind. Little did I know how much work I'd had to go through, on myself. And it was just downwards from there. It was just abusive from the get-go. It was manipulation. A lot of it was physical, like bruises, broken hand, dodgy fingers still. But I think the biggest part that, I actually did a video on this yesterday, the biggest thing that I found hard was the aftermath of it. So years on, after emotional abuse from a narcissist or someone that's abusive, you see kind of wounding that they have caused to you. So I don't know if you're into chakras,
I've heard about
body.
chakras, yeah.
So we have a throat chakra. That's our self-expression, our speech, how we present ourselves, how we communicate. He used to say, shut the fuck up, you fat bitch. No one's going to fucking listen to you on socials. Ugly, disgusting. No one's going to listen. You chatting shit all the time. And I used to believe it. So what this has done, his projecting has sunken into my subconscious mind. I'm starting to believe all this shit. And even though I used to prance around in my underwear, all curvy, loving life, deep down I was a fucking insecure girl, still scared. It was a show. It was a facade. Because what this man did to me, he broke down my self-esteem where I believed it. Now, my brain has held on to this for a long time where my emotions have been suppressed. So when I speak on podcasts, I want to cry sometimes, but I can't seem to. I hold it in my throat. It gets blocked. The choky feeling. Like when someone talks about your dad or something really painful, Scott, you kind of choke a little bit and you hold it within your body and it tenses up. And that's what I've done a lot of work on the past year. And we're talking this guy, I broke up with him like 5 years ago, man. So a lot of it, the body holds a trauma. I don't know if you've ever read The Body Keeps a Score. It's an amazing book. Our body is a physical manifestation of our mind. The mind goes through all the abuse, but your body will show up. It will show up in psoriasis on my scalp when I'm stressed, autoimmune. And so I could feel it. Every time I wanted to cry, I fucking couldn't. And so I had to do more healing, more therapy, talk. So I talk in third person when I'm in the shower, Scott. I'm like, Martin, how you doing, man? What's going on today? How are you fucking feeling today? And then I'm letting it out. I'm like, I'm feeling all right. Yeah, I've got Scott's podcast today. I feel a bit anxious. Let's talk about it. So I'm talking more. And then that allows me, and I was chanting all these weird shit on the way here in the car. But that allows me to have more freedom of expression, you know? Yeah. But a lot of this shit that I've gone through, I've had to really figure it and decode it. Like the universe is a weird game, man. It's like a game with yourself.
Yeah.
But all it's trying to do is it's not trying to make you happy. The universe wants you to grow. It doesn't care about your happiness. It's like, fuck you, we're going to put you through this so you can evolve through it.
It's so true. And I'm here for so much of this, by the way, because one of my therapists, I've got multiple therapists now. One of them told me, right, Scott, I want you to go to the mirror and I want you to look at yourself deep in the mirror and talk to yourself, and talk to you like you're talking to a little boy.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I'm going to do it. And I went up to the mirror, right, and I was looking in the mirror. I was like, go on, Scott, you know what, mate? You've done all right. You know what? You've done all right. Like, honestly, you have, mate. And he's like, I'm not trying to look away. I went, no, you have. You've smashed it, mate. If you told 15-year-old Scott you'd have what you have now, you'd be buzzing. And I do that sometimes when I'm driving past my school every day. Yeah. I always go, if you little Scott, because I was always deep as a kid, I'd stare across this field from this window. And if someone said to me that Scott would be driving past at 35 now in my nice car with my businesses and everything else, I'd be like, you know what, fair play, but I'd snap your hand off for it. But instead, we never really take a moment to appreciate. So I spoke to little Scott and I started crying. I was like, that's
your inner child,
because
Scott.
we're all little kids. We're all kids.
Are. That's what my therapist was talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
So listen to this. One weird thing I used to do as a kid was, I was such a strange kid, Scott. I used to go in the mirror and go, like with my face. I don't know why. I used to do it all the time.
Please get a close up on that.
But I used to run. I used to be a weird little awkward kid, but I loved it. I didn't care. I used to be like, So what happens is I'm getting Botox in my forehead as I get older. I'm freezing my kid. I'm freezing my fucking facial expressions as I'm getting older. And I'm freezing any part of me that wants to express who I really am. And I stopped. I've got a few lines, but I don't care anymore. And my therapist goes to me, what you were doing, you were freezing yourself from expressing who you really are. Like we all have this inner kid. I started wearing more hippie shit, retro stuff. I'm loving this 90s vibe. And he's like, and I cut my hair off. He goes, when was the last time you cut your hair? It was when you were a kid. The inner child has to balance with your adult self, because we all have a parent part of our brain and our child part. And we need them to both work in unity and come together. Because we're parenting our child, but our child is also who we are. You know, I love gaming, the DS. It's so good and healthy to have that inner child come through.
But it's mad what you said before about the power of the subconscious mind, right? Because you latch onto things. And what I'm finding really frustrating right now is, for example, I have a fear of rejection with girls, like to the point where that's probably why I've been single for so long, whatever else. And I remember when I was 11 years old, I had my first kiss with this girl, right? And I fancied her like mad. And then 2 weeks later, she rang me up and she went, you dumped because you're a shit kisser, right? And I was heartbroken. Like the pain, I can feel it now. And I know, that is knocked onto my adult life. I'm so scared of getting rejected by girls to the point where if I get them, I'm like, I'm gonna have to swerve you before you swerve me, because like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I know it, but I still can't rewire it. Like I still can't rewire it yet. And it's so mad because I've got a session actually with a girl who specializes in belief coding.
Yeah.
So she's that specialized going into the process and like
rewiring your neural pathways.
Rewiring it, right? So it's kind of like I've done all this therapy and it's been amazing. And I'm so self-aware now to the point if someone walks in now, I'm like a therapist. I know exactly like, do you know what I mean? I can analyze people in that sense. But it doesn't mean that I also have all the tools yet I need to kind of implement those changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 1,000,000%. It's a lot of layering. There's so many layers. We're so complex. And my fear was abandonment. With men, I don't care how you treat me, don't abandon me. Scared of abandonment. Terry abandoned me. All the men like abandoned me. Zaya, my daughter, her dad left when she was 2 months. My mum died. My dad died. Everyone's fucking dying, abandoning me. So fuck you. I don't want to be with anyone. I want to be single. That's my mentality. So the opposite, a little bit similar almost. But to work through that, I had to strip it back and be like, where did it start? Where did your abandonment come from? Because it could start in the womb. When we're in the womb, it could be a point in our childhood that's really significant, like you just said. And you have to start to, as you said, it's all about awareness. Awareness is key. And I took it back and I went to Sweden last August, Scott. And I went, I'm going to go visit my mum's roots, man, and my dad's roots. I want to find out more about my upbringing. And I went to visit this lady that was my carer. So when my dad died, apparently my mum was giving birth to me in the next room. And she had a C-section. My dad was dying in the next room. So my mum must have felt fear as fuck giving birth to me.
Wow.
So I would have felt that through her body. And then when I was born, so I spoke to this lady. Her name was Mary Mirja in Swedish. And I went and found her. Lived in a little village in Sweden, little like in the middle of nowhere. She was like, come in. She raised me basically with my mum. And I asked her questions about my childhood. I went, what was my mum like with me? She went, Marlin, your mum used to call me in the middle of the night to come and get you out of the cot because your mum said when you'd cry, she went, she'll be fine, leave her. My mum was so depressed, she couldn't even pick me up from the cot.
Wow.
So my body as a baby would have felt that abandonment from day fucking dot. I've got goosebumps now because that's where it all started.
Yes.
Yeah. And then so by uncovering all these truths bit by bit, and a lot of it hurts. Fuck it, it's painful, man. I started to slowly search for answers. And then we can get a little bit down the rabbit hole here. We can start looking, oh, is this why?
Yeah.
You know, and then I started to pick at things and I understood. And now I feel a lot more aware with it. It's awareness, like you just said. And yeah, it makes sense now. And
but one thing that must have been really difficult then, obviously. So was he, would you describe him as a narcissist?
Who?
Tom.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, because I've been doing, I don't know why, I've been doing a bit of research into narcissism. And like you said, the biggest problem in that situation probably wasn't even, I know the physical side of it, the domestic abuse would have been really difficult, but it's like the mental abuse.
Massively.
Like, how did you feel like he controlled you?
Oh, it was just confusion all the time. Like the gaslighting is when they kind of make you doubt yourself. So I could say, you're wearing white Converse, and you'd be like, they're black. And I'd believe you that they're black, even though they're white. Do you know what I mean? I'd fucking still believe you.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh no, he must be right. Because of all the conditioning that they do at the beginning. It's just such a fucked up thing for someone to go through. And that went on for time, where you lose yourself and you lose who you really are.
Yeah, and because you're so intelligent as well. You're always intelligent, even when I met you. Like, obviously,
I wasn't.
No, you are. You've always been smart, and you've always been strong as well. It's weird. Like, I can kind of relate to you in so many ways. It's almost like, yes, we have our soft side, our vulnerable side, but like, you're still strong. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that someone could have that impact on you when you're so intelligent, you're so strong. This could happen to anybody, right?
Yeah, massively. I remember. So the kind of person I was that was strong. I've always been strong, right?
Yeah.
But it's been more of a facade strong. So on Love Island, I was strong, but inside I wasn't. I remember he had beaten me. He was drunk. He'd come to my house. He had thrown a bottle of wine across the room. And I had a shoot with Cosmopolitan the next day. So I had bruises on my arms and something on my face. And I remember he always did something before I had a really important job.
No.
Always a day before. And I still got on the train, Scott, the next day. I put makeup over. And I thought, fuck, this is weird now. And I went to the shoot and the makeup artist was like, what's that? I was like, oh, nothing. He's blowing up my phone. And I put on this face and I was talking about baby loss. Baby had just died like a few months ago. How the fuck I did it, I don't know. What I'm trying to say to you is that we all have some mad strength and resilience inside of us. It's about tapping into it, but also allowing ourselves to be vulnerable through it, because you can only be strong for so long till you hit a rock bottom and you have to address all that pain inside of you.
Oh, that's so true. Because I don't mind being vulnerable when it comes to like sobriety, my emotions, my personal life. But when it comes to like business, for example, like I think it's really difficult to show vulnerability because people might kind of exploit that or anything else. But there was a situation recently where I've had a lot of pressure on me. And it got to the point where I was like, every day I talk to myself saying, I'm a leader, I write down in my journal, I'm a leader. It's something that I really kind of aspire to be. And I know I've got that natural leadership. And I'm like, sometimes vulnerability, how does that coincide with leadership? But there was a time when I literally sat down with my team recently and I said, listen, guys, like I need you to be aware of what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Because, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's weird because I am so driven, I am so strong. But at the same time I do moan along the way. But I'm going to get through it. Like, do you know what I mean? There's certain people who are leaders, they don't moan, they crack on, they get through it. Like, I'll have a shit day, but watch me bounce back the next day.
Yeah.
Like, watch me come back. Like, I never, like, even like this young kid who's working with me, he goes, fair play to you, man. Like, you always find a way to keep going. But the one thing that pisses me off is like, I wish I didn't moan, or I wish I didn't get emotional about stuff. But then I think, you know what? Fuck that. That's part of being a human being, yeah? Like, it doesn't make you weak to show emotion, to show the struggles. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get to where you want to be. But I think we've been conditioned, like, especially the old school masculinity is like, don't show weakness, don't show vulnerability. Whereas now I'm kind of trying to just be a bit more open, saying, listen, I'm going to achieve great things, but it's not going to be easy. And life's not meant to be easy, right? That's another thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. But what I learned was with work, when I try and force through a path that isn't meant to be for me, like job opportunities, certain things. Like even after Love Island, I had no TV work. I didn't do as well as the other islanders in terms of the social stuff. But then I realised afterwards that my route was always to serve other people and go through the speaking, using my voice. But I had to go through all this shit to get there. And when I used to be down, I'm like, fuck it, why didn't I get that? Why didn't I do that? Or why has this job not come through, or this campaign, or this? I can let it be now. Like, I just kind of flow through it, and I understand what is for me will never go by me. Like, and I meditate every day for an hour, and I get the insights. And when I say insights, I had a dream about you so clearly, Scott, right? Where you came up, I was talking to you, and I went, shit, we've both grown a lot. And we were talking. We were like, whoa, we need to talk about this because someone's going to see that and be like, fuck, you know, there's more to life than just Love Island. And we're souls here. We've got so much depth about us. And I went, my sober journey. And I thought, the rehab stuff had just come out. And I thought, I need to speak to you. I need to talk to you about it. Because you're on a journey, and I don't know why I sensed it, but you're on some spiritual journey that's going to happen for you. I sound like a fucking weird psychic now.
I love
You're
it.
going to go through it. You've seen 11:11. You're going to have all these things come through.
I'm here for it.
I just sensed it. I messaged you straight away. I woke up in the morning. You were in
And
my
here we
mind. And I
are.
was like, right, yeah, here we are. But all these insights come to me when I'm really balanced and I'm sat still, either in meditation or when I'm just being. Because I like this quote, right? We're human beings, not human doings. We should just be. Sometimes we need to just be and sit still. And that's when all the information comes to us.
Yeah, and it's weird as well. I always say, like, sometimes the people just flow through. Like, do you know what? I talk about, Alex Bowen, right? I had him on my podcast. And Alex Bowen, yeah, he never seems like he's, like, in the nicest way possible, like, really pushing hard for something. He just goes, right, I want to start DJing. DJing.
Yeah.
Next thing he's on big, like, literally, just watch his journey. Next minute, he's, like, doing massive, like, concerts and whatever else. And even when him and Liv came out of Love Island, I don't think they tried the hardest. They just didn't
they were just themselves.
They were just themselves,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's why they smashed it.
Yeah.
And even now, the more that I'm being myself, the more opportunities. But because me and you are quite, like, driven and kind of like, it's almost like the more you want something. I even say to people when they go to the Love Island audition, they go, what's the best advice? I went, just don't want it.
Yeah.
The less you want it, the more they want you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit where I'm getting to life, where it's like that balance between being driven, yeah, but then also just going, just letting shit come to you. If you are doing the work, the foundational work, looking after yourself, like, do you know what I mean? Nurturing your body, nurturing your soul, like what's meant to be will come to you. But if you're not doing that, then obviously, do you know what I mean? You're going to question yourself.
But it's all about alignment. I look back at the work I did after Love Island. I was on Facetuning the fuck out of my face, doing makeup, making my walls white on Facetune because I thought that was aesthetically pleasing. Doing work that wasn't who I was. I was trying to be like everyone else. I was trying to be like Katie. I was trying to be like Olivia. I was trying to be like everyone else but me. And so what my journey has done to me is brought me back to me. Who the fuck is Malin Andersson? I'm here sat in my whole worthy self, as whole as I can be right now. And I'm doing the inner work. And whatever's going on in here, I want to represent around me. And I want to attract all these things that are for me. And when we sit still, then they can come through. Just as you said, you're doing the work, you're eating better for you. You're exercising, you're talking, you're speaking your mind, you're living your truth. And when we live our truth, like the truth is all around us.
Do you know what? I love that. But I read a book actually called Stolen Focus. And it's interesting saying, we are not the problem. Like, as much as we want to work on ourselves and focus on ourselves and not be distracted, the whole world is designed to distract us. Yeah. So that no wonder nobody knows who they are. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, because every single day we're being influenced by Instagram. Like, and even when I was throwing parties for a living, I was meant to be a lawyer, a barrister, like, and I just ended up throwing parties for a living because that's what the crowds were doing. And that's what was cool.
We're sheep.
Yeah.
We copy.
And it's like, even now, like on social media, and TikTok's done a great job at this, to be fair to it. It's basically come in and kiboshed everything that we kind of knew about, like being, about being media trained and stuff like that. Like me and you are swearing on here now. Like literally 6 months ago, you wouldn't catch me swearing on social and stuff because I was like, you can't do that. You've got to be polished.
Yeah.
You've got to be like Holly Willoughby vibes and everything else. But people like Maya Jama and all that coming through now, people want realness, right? I think that's one good thing that's coming. But it's so hard to kind of be real in a world where you are being fed so many other people's lives all the time because you're so easily influenced.
Constantly. I did a video the other day about diets, man. There's like 50,000 things.
I saw that.
I got fucking confused, Scott. I was like, no sugar, eat loads of eggs, don't do this. And I looked on my socials and I thought, our brains aren't designed to have this much information overload every day. So I don't look at people's stories much anymore. I don't do all the scrolling. I will write a caption that comes to me. I'll wake up, a caption will come into my head and I'll be like, I need to talk about this today, man. This is coming, I need to talk about this. And I'll write it myself and then that'll be done with it. I'll put my phone away. I'll limit my screen time a little bit. But what is happening is we're being fed things that are designed to take us further from ourselves.
Yes.
So we aren't living how we're meant to be living. So we're influenced, and it's sad because a lot of people are going to be influenced. But when you have a strong mindset like me and you, we can recognize it. And we can sometimes get swayed because we're like, what? But it's about bringing the awareness back to ourselves. But
Well, how do you
sad.
How do you do that in the world? Like, for example, I was at this gala last night, and there was about 1,000 people there. It was crazy, and by the end of like those kind of events, as great as they are, your social battery's done, right? Because it's like, as human beings, we were meant to live like in little small villages, like in little tribes. Do you know what I mean? And you'd know every single person by name. And do you know what I mean? Like that's how
I love Ireland.
And yeah, basically, yeah. And you'd walk around barefooted and you'd be grounded and everything else. Like, and if you think about us, we are just, it sounds daft and we're going really back in time here now, but basically when it comes to your mental health and being happy, everybody always tries to take you back to being primal, right?
Yeah.
So less like social media, like being more in touch with like nature, getting in the outdoors, like these are all like the natural code, and it's basically taking you back to how us as a species were meant to live. But that's what I'm saying is like, I'm now at a point where I feel like I want to go and live with the monks for a month or two.
You're so weird. I was saying yesterday, I want to go Bali, live on a mountain.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to be
not forever, but I want to go there just to really do that deep work like, on myself now, because I think that's the power of sobriety as well. Once you're sober, the hardest thing, is being alone with your own thoughts. Because if you had a stressful time, you're going through something, right, let's just drink, let's numb the pain, let's go out on a 2-day bender. Whereas now when you're sober, you've got to go, shit, I've got to deal with everything.
Yeah.
Right? So I've kind of dealt with the surface layer stuff, but I'm like, shit, I need to go deeper, but I can't go deeper.
You can. Do you meditate?
Yeah, I do meditate, but not long enough. But I can't go deeper because as soon as I go deeper and then I'm back into this world, the world is not going to allow me to stay there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh my God, you sound so weird. It's like the thing that I've just kind of gone through. It's integration. It's integrating our physical form and our non-physical, and it's basically incorporating both. Where you're Scott for everyone else, and then you're not Scott. You're just your pure essence inside of you. And to tap into that inner Scott, like who you are really inside, you meditate, you get your insight, and you bring to the world what you have learned from yourself. And integration is so hard because sometimes I'm driving here and I'm looking around me like everyone's just zombies walking through life. And I go Tesco's or whatever, and the lights are so bright and everyone's just living in their jobs. They're not happy and they're depressed. And then you get a council tax bill through, or this pops up and you're like, this world's fucking shit, man. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
But you have to bring it kind of back that we are in this world and we're here for a reason, but we don't have to be in it. We can incorporate both, and that's integration, integrating you and being. It's hard. It's a hard thing.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice. It's the world that we live in. Like I said, the easy option would just be to go and live in.
Everyone moves abroad though.
So I just wanted to take a little moment before we crack on with the rest of the episode to let you know about something that I am super passionate about. If you followed me over the last few years, you know I've been on an incredible journey. I've managed to turn my lifestyle completely around, and I've learned so much along the way. I've acquired various different tools. I've learned from so many different amazing people. And I've now managed to create my own wellness brand. I can't even believe it myself. It's called Food for Thoughts. And we are now focusing on 4 key pillars: nutrition, fitness, mindset, and connection. These are the 4 pillars that have got me to this point right now. We have just launched our brand new model in January, and it's gone off to a flyer. We've just signed loads of new members. And it's so beautiful to see everybody thriving at the start of this year, trying something new, coming out of the comfort zone. And we've got a team of dedicated coaches and an amazing community that are going to help everybody get to where they need to get to. So if you're looking for a lifestyle change this year and you want to be surrounded by like-minded people on the same wave as you, and you want to have access to regular Zooms with specialist Nutri coaches, Zooms with myself, guest speakers such as Ollie Ollerton, if you want to have regular fitness classes online and be part of amazing events on a monthly basis, then Food for Thoughts is for you. It's also for you if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you're going round in circles, you feel unsupported, and you want to make some changes, but you don't know where to turn. This is the perfect one-stop shop to get you started and moving in the right direction. And remember, if you want to make some positive changes in 2024, head over to www.f4t.com and take the first step in working towards your very own lifestyle change. Thank you for your patience and enjoy the rest of the episode. How did you then, what was the moment when you snapped out of that toxic relationship? How did you snap out of it?
I traveled abroad. The only way to get away from him was to travel. And so I kept traveling.
On your own or?
With some friends. It was drinking holidays.
Right,
It wasn't anything like just escaping. And then, I just became this kind of independent woman. I was a curvier version of myself. I was doing a lot of advocating for body positivity, and I was kind of loving that single life. I was dating, I was partying a lot, I was loving work, and again, I was a step up from who I was, but I still hadn't addressed underlying deep, what you would say, deep shit going on. I was just surface level. But yeah, it took him to break my hand and for him to go to jail for me to release him from my life. They say zero contact's the easiest thing and the best thing.
And didn't he break his conditions afterwards? And he went back or something? I read that.
Yeah, he broke bail. Like,
But nothing to do with you though?
He came close to where I lived or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And that's the problem. He served half of what he did for good behaviour.
Right.
So.
Wow.
And then, yeah, it's just been a really weird journey. Obviously, I had Zaya, my daughter now, who's 2, and she's changed my life even more. She's nuts.
Yes, I've seen your video.
She's crazy.
Jumping all over your workouts and that, yeah.
She's nuts. She's
amazing.
She looks like Mowgli.
She's amazing.
she's awesome. She's changed my life. She loves her dad. Her dad's brilliant with her. We co-parent. It was fucking shit the first year and a half. He left me when she was 2 months. That was a struggle for me. Abandonment again. Why have you left me? It was toxic. We weren't right for each other. We were friends to begin with, but a lot of emotions came up in my pregnancy with Zaya because I wasn't allowed to drink. I couldn't smoke. I wasn't doing anything. That's when everything came through.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, fucking, it was really difficult for me and him, and tried to make it work. It didn't work.
So after 2 months, what was his reason?
He was like, oh, it's just not healthy. He went back to his mum's house and
Really?
Yeah. And it didn't work. And because for me, what the struggle was, Scott, raising my daughter alone without my mum in my life and having no solid support around me. And then whenever she left me on the weekends to go stay with him, I drank.
Right.
Session. That's when it became a problem.
Right.
Because as you said, I don't drink. I don't wake up and drink. I don't drink during the week. Some days I would if I wanted to in the evening, but I could stop sometimes at a few glasses of wine. But when she was out with him, and she was gone for the weekend, I was like, fuck, I need to get on it. I need to party now. And that's when I realized something went off in my head and I was like, okay, I can't live like this anymore. Because you're still escaping from something.
So when you had Zaya then, after obviously losing your first child, what was the feeling when you knew that you had a really healthy, beautiful baby? Was there a fear there as well? You know, you talked about you were always afraid of losing your mum. Like, was there ever
Oh
a
my
fear?
God, when I was pregnant with her, every time I'd go to the toilet, I'd check for blood.
Really?
I didn't believe any of the pregnancy. I was so depressed. I had prenatal depression when I was pregnant. I didn't want to leave the bed. I wrote suicidal notes to Jared, her dad. I didn't want to wake up. I didn't actually want to have the baby some days. And then when she was born, it was meant to be a normal birth. Why does the universe do this to me? I go back in the same fucking room as Consy was born in. I have an emergency C-section and they take her out of me. The same doctor. I did the same.
No.
Same, everything the same midwife, everything. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Are you playing me? Are you fucking with me? She was healthy and everything was fine. But then you have that image in your head that you're going to have the perfect family. You're going to stay with the dad. Everything's going to be cool. And then when it doesn't work out like that, you're like, oh, okay. I'm going to have to raise her alone now, co-parent, but it's on the days that I have her, which is majority, it's going to be very fucking hard. And it was the hardest thing of my life, raising her.
But all worth it though.
All worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the issue with like the drink and the drugs then. Like, did that kind of escalate, like you said, when you had those weekends to yourself?
Do you know what? I think drinking's always been a problem.
Yeah.
If I look back now in hindsight, to my teenage years, it was fun. It wasn't a coping mechanism, it was fun. The minute I got introduced to alcohol when I was like 17, 18, I was like, oh, this is fun. Go on, party girl. And
I actually remember in Love Island now, to be fair. You were the only one who kind of like backed me when I was like moaning about the alcohol. Yeah.
And then I became cabin crew at 18, Virgin Atlantic, Emirates at 21, moved to Dubai. Fucking hell, Dubai was nuts. It was all about drinking, lifestyle. Even then, drinking, turning up to training, still like fucking hanging. I was always hungover. But it wasn't a problem because it was fun. It was what you're meant to do, right?
It's accepted as well.
It's so accepted. It's normal. It's normal to drink.
It's mental.
And then you put trauma into the mix, drinking doesn't become the same anymore. Now there's something going on here. You're escaping, but you're drinking and taking drugs now because you're running away from yourself. You're running away from everything. And so then it just got worse and worse. The weekends would come. I'd invite friends around and we'd have parties. I'd go out, I'd be drinking. My life was centered around drinking and drugs. And I remember waking up, I'd be hungover, feeling depressed. All my grief, all those feelings of abandonment, low self-worth, grief, trauma, pain would come up on my calm down tenfold, where I'd feel suicidal. every time I went through this vicious cycle, I'm not going to drink. I'll go 2 months sober, 1 month, a few weeks. I'd end up in the same cycle. Post on my Instagram, going sober now, I could feel it, yeah. Embarrassed, fucking delete that post. Oh, I drank like a few weeks later. I think I reached out to you at one point.
So like my brother Adam, he does it, puts a post out on Instagram, he has to delete it the next week. And me and Ryan go, why have you put it out, bro? Again.
And then, do you know Vex King? A good friend of mine, right? Really good friend.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wow, love that.
I'd voice note him on my come downs. Help me. Why can't I shift this the alcohol? I don't get it. I don't want to drink in the mornings. I don't want to drink in the days. But when I do drink, it's like something takes over my life. Why can't I fix this one thing that I hate about myself? And he goes, because you're hating an aspect of you. It's not the alcohol. It's not the drugs. It's a part of you that you hate. What part is that? And so I went on a deep journey with it. It got less and less. The alcohol got less and less. Then I was pregnant. Obviously, you don't drink. None of that. And I had Zaya, and it was fine. And then when Jared left, it ticked something else off. It triggered something mad inside of me. The biggest abandonment wound ever. Jared did me a lesson, man. He's healed the biggest part of me.
Really?
Yeah. He brought out my sobriety.
Wow.
That was the toughest end of karmic cycle shit you could ever like knuckle down on. He left, and then I was like, I couldn't have been abandoned any more than that. The father of my child, the guy that I was in love with. And what happened was the weekend should be with him. I'd want to get on it. I'd want to drink. And then one weekend last year, it was the next day, I rang Jared. I said, Jared, I can't live like this. And he knew. He goes, sometimes I can see, well, sometimes when I drop Zaya off, you're hanging, man. Like, what the fuck? He goes, I went, why didn't you fucking help me then? He goes, it's just up to you. He was never very good with his emotions, ever.
Not good communicators.
Nah, not good communicators. But he was good on this point. He helped me. We found a rehab. And I was sober at the time, and I went, oh, I need to go. And he went, I was like, can you have Zaya for the 3 weeks? He goes, yeah, he'll have her. And it was the hardest and weirdest thing I've ever done, because when you think of rehab, right, you think of like a proper hardcore alcohol like addict. And I had the mentality of I'm doing this for me and for Zaya, but this time I have to do it for me. And I went in, it's a holistic place. It was quite different. It was all about yoga, breath work. My therapist I met there now currently, his name's Jay, he's from Manchester, fucking amazing. He used to be a monk. And I unlocked all my home truths. By being still with myself for those 3 weeks, I unlocked the maddest amount. I opened the Pandora's box, which had been shut this whole time. And I got to the bottom of the alcohol and the drugs, it fucking changed my life, Scott. Oh, wow. But at the beginning, I was like, what am I doing here? Rehab. I was like, sat there like around all these people, like, oh, fuck.
That is so...
And I don't know why, but I did it.
It's so courageous, man, to take that into your own hands. Like...
Had to.
Wow. That's just like, that's giving me goosebumps.
It was extreme. That's extreme, innit? Because nothing was working. Therapy wasn't working. All this YouTube videos, watching you online, I was like, oh, all right, what's he talking about now? Like trying to educate myself.
I think you used to send me a couple of WhatsApp voice notes and stuff.
But you're helping me, man.
Like. Yeah. I think it was off your head.
You dick.
Oh, sorry, I can't help
you.
I'm not joking. No. But I remember, I think you did send me a couple. No, you were like almost like, I think you did send me a couple of like voice notes, and you were kind of like in that place where I think you were on holiday, but you were drinking, you were struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, do you know what's mad? You know, I've been in Marbella before off my head and literally Googled rehab. Like,
shut up.
Yeah, I've Googled them and like thinking, what's good. This is like years ago and it was so expensive. I was like, I can't go.
It was like 12, 13 grand, man.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's so, honestly, it's so courageous for you to do that and take it. Like, happiness comes from taking your own life into your own hands and taking responsibility. And that is what you did by doing that big step. And I think, like you said, we've got all these like misconceptions around like rehab and stuff. Massively.
But
at the same time, it can be so transformative.
Yeah.
Like it was for you.
And it's weird. I think the success rate with rehab is really fucking low. And
really?
I knew for me, I wasn't the typical alcoholic or an addict in that way. I knew that it wasn't surface level drinking. It was what was inside of me that I needed fixing.
Oh, that's what I want to talk about. Because you just triggered something then. So because sometimes people complain to me and say, Scott, why are you talking about sobriety? You weren't an alcoholic.
I see that on you, yeah.
Right? Uh-huh. So, and I kind of get what they're saying, but I'm talking to a type of person who has not done the work to understand. So I've done a course recently, and this guy who runs a course, he doesn't actually believe in sobriety. He believes in understanding what the root cause is, because unless you understand what the root cause is, you will just swap one addiction for another addiction. Hence why you see a lot of people from the partying days now climbing mountains, running Ironmen. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, even with me, like, for the first year, I was just literally training to the point where now I train, but I don't want it to.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I don't want it to be the be all and end all. Because even now, the one thing I struggle with, Malin, is switching off, like relaxing. The one thing that happened to me when I drank, was I would forget about work. I would lose my phone.
Yeah.
I know where my phone is at all times, and I would lose my phone. I would like just be unfiltered. Didn't care what I said to people. And it was like a mad release, whereas now it's so hard without alcohol in my life to naturally switch off. What tips have you got for doing that? Are you big? So you say you meditate an hour a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly.
How do you do that?
Okay, so I'm like you, I can't switch off. I actually have ADHD as well, which I found out a year ago.
Yeah.
So my mind's always overactive. I'm doing stuff, I'm constantly
Fight or flight mode you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Someone said that we always live in fight or flight mode.
Our nervous systems are so dysregulated through food, through non-exercising, through trauma, through pain, through all of that shit. So we're just functioning. We're like, that's why we're doing this. Like, and as you just said, quickly taking it back, we swap an addiction for another thing. So I lost 6 stone, didn't I? I was like, fucking gym, yeah. What the hell? What? You know, and in rehab, they call everyone an alcoholic. They're like, you're in fucking denial, you're a fucking alcoholic. Like, whether you say, I'm a binge drinker, I drink, you're a fucking alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, they want you to say it because that you're in denial about something, whether it is alcohol or not, there's something in you. So once I admitted that I was powerless, so they say this in AA, right? So I went to a few meetings, well, it's not for me, but it's a powerful thing, AA. When you admit you're powerless over alcohol and things that you can't control, you don't give it the power anymore. You set yourself free from it. And I looked at that in all aspects of my life, whether it's things that I wanted to control, like say as dad, the co-parenting, all these things, work. When I let go of that control, I set myself free from that and I don't give it power. So what allowed me to do that? Meditation. And oh my God, it was the hardest thing, to shut my brain up. Like I'd sit there and be like, doing breath work. And then I'm like, it's not working, chicken later, dinner. Like, what the fuck? So I forced myself once and I sat there for half an hour, hands were up, and it's all about breath. 4 in, 4 out, hold for 4 out. And I did it and I reached a place of nothingness. And I thought, oh my God, what was that? There was nothing in my head. And my body went back and my body was weightless. And I felt my nervous system just get reset. My body went hot. And I thought, fuck, I want that feeling again. And what do? I'm in a bit of a, addictive personality. I did it every day. And I got longer and longer. Scott, you have to get it past the 20 minutes. There is a state of nothing. You'll fucking, Jay Shetty talks about it. It's amazing. Yeah.
And do you get like every day now? Do you get to it?
Every day I get to it. It takes quicker. It's quicker now.
Oh, that's what I want to get to.
You have to stick with it. Stick with it.
Wow, that's what I want to get to.
No music, no guidance.
I just said before, right? So I want to be like an influencer. I want to be the #1 male influencer for self-development.
Yes.
And I said to my team recently, like, I've talked about everything that's got me to this point: nutrition, training, meditating on a certain level, journaling, reading. Yeah. But I'm now, if I want to be that person, I have to
embody it.
No, I now have to go to the next level. Yes. So I've got like this meditation specialist, like obviously does a lot of yoga, coming around to do a and this and that. I know I need to get to that point. Yeah. Like that's just got me excited.
So listen to this. The way that I unlocked more of myself, right, and I got deeper into my body, my soul, and my mind was meditation. And I've always advocated for meditating, but I'd chat shit. I'd be like, do it for 10 seconds, do a bit of breath work. My mind would be all cuckoo land. Yeah. I'd listen to guided meditations, things in my sleep, YouTube 8 hours, listen to that, all of these things. And what happened to me was I went to sleep, but I meditated before I went to bed. And I thought, I'm gonna stay with it until I get past 20 minutes. And if I haven't got to where I want to be in my head, then I'm gonna sack it in. Because I've got an overactive brain, Scott. I'm like you. I'm always 100 miles an hour. Meditation's changed my life. I did 20 minutes. My arms are up, palms facing up. I would breathe in 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. And I would say, I'd chant the word just because we aren't it, we are nothing. We're essentially, is inside of that. That's just us, inside of us. And so I'd breathe whilst chanting and it got past 25 minutes and I was somewhere I've never been before. It was pure emptiness in my head and my body was weightless and insight started to come through, like visions, random things and downloads from the universe, whatever you want to call it, higher power. And I left the meditation and my fucking head felt different. My body had felt like it elevated and my nervous system had an upgrade. My whole body felt like nuts. And I went, fuck, I need to do this again. So I did it the next day, a bit longer. Reached that peak again. And it got quicker and quicker to get to that place. And the more I meditate, the more I slept better. The more my path was alignment, numbers, people, sequences, the jobs around me, the focus. I moved into my dream house like a month ago. Kept meditating. I was chasing the feeling. You know, we chase that fucking good feeling. And meditation was a free high. It was what I'd been missing out on this whole time. Access to a part of myself I'd never accessed before. But I'm going to go a bit deep now. People don't want you to meditate. Everyone around us, like the higher people, they want us to stay where we are because they don't want us to know that we've got the power inside of ourselves. We have an inner guidance system here, our gut, our intuition. The power is in us, and it's about accessing and tapping into that. You want to heal deeper layers, you meditate. You want to elevate, you want to manifest, you meditate. All the answers come from just being still with yourself, because I can't be still.
Oh
I'm
my
always,
God, that was sick.
I'm sick.
That was sick. I was thinking that was just that. You just sold, but that's my trailer. You just sold meditation then in a way that everybody should hear that. Like, I was like, you just nailed, like, I've not even experienced what you've experienced, but I know that that's like, you've more than anyone I've ever listened to has just sold meditation and why you do it better than I've heard from Jay Shetty than anyone, because that was so powerful. And that is, I think, and I always say, like, for example, sobriety is a superpower because what does alcohol do? Alcohol just keeps everybody here.
Yes.
If everybody felt how I felt in that first year when sober, it was like having a limitless pill. The world would just be overturned because no one would
I always say limitless pill.
Yeah, no one would be settling here.
Yeah.
Everyone would be striving for more. It's basically, why has alcohol been part of like society since the beginning of time? Why have pubs been like open longer and over time and everything? Because it keeps people where they're meant to be and it makes everybody else like be able to rise to the top.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sobriety is literally, it would knock everything off. All my senses gone. And I've never been able to meditate whilst drinking alcohol. And now I'm so scared to drink alcohol. Like, I don't even want to fucking touch it or go near it because I love where I am now. I love the feeling of me and being in me and in my body. And you said you used to run away. Didn't you? That's what we used to do. Yeah. And now I want to run in. I want to go inwards.
I've got a question for you because it makes me laugh because I was on a shoot yesterday and I was on fire. Like, I had to basically go and do like interview people in the street and go up to them, random people, and ask them for the number and everything else. But I was, you know, when you just got the energy that day and you just know that you're fearless, you're taking rejection, and you're just doing a great job. And the team even said to me, they went, "What coffee do you drink? Like, your energy is next level, right?" But if anybody who knows me, like my team and stuff, like, I can do this, yeah. But then I will be Negy. I'll have my moments where I'm not all super positive. I can be down in the dumps, like, and sometimes I'm a bit conflicted, like going, and even this other guy I'm like doing a bit of business with is like, when I get off the phone to you, Scott, I just feel good. I'm like, you don't feel good all the time, mate, if you're with me all the time. Like, and that's not me saying I'm not a positive guy, because there's massive parts of me that you will not match my energy. Like, in fact, you probably will, because you've got a sick energy. But like, I want to be kind of real and say that I don't like saying that I'm super positive all the time. Do you have your down days, your stressful days? And like, do you know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with them? Do you question yourself when you do have those days?
Yeah, all the time.
And even like now, when sometimes I'm a bit, I see someone have an opportunity and I go, Scott, like, abundance mindset, there's more opportunities to go around, your time will come. I still catch myself sometimes being a bit neggy, man, and I don't like that side of me. I'm like, why am I, it's not hating on someone, but there's a little like niggle where I go, Scott, man, just be happy for everyone. I mean, my brother Adam's really good at that. And Ryan, to be fair, they're just happy for everybody. Like, but because I'm so driven and ambitious sometimes, it's like I find a little side of me going, oh, Scott, let that go. Like, practice.
You'll access that through meditation. Trust me. But what I've learned is ebb and flow. So our emotions have to come up, have to come down. It's part of our human body. What has helped that is the healthy eating, the exercise, the good people around you. But when I get to the evening, sometimes days at a dad's, that's when I want to drink. That's when I used to drink the most. I get lonely and I sit with that. I have to sit with it. When I meditate, I feel better, but I don't avoid it anymore. I let that emotion come in because that's part of our personality almost as well. That negativity allows us to come back up again and recognize it. It's part of who we are. Sometimes we want the answers, don't we? We want to fix everything. We want to be like, I hate this part of me. But actually, it could just be an integration of who we really are and gives us that drive. But yeah, I get the down days. I get the sad days. And I sit there and I go, nothing's real, it's all an illusion. I'm joking. No, they like get that fucking like nothing's real. It's like Truman Show.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good though. You know what though? It's good though. It's about self-awareness and just understanding yourself. And like again, it links back to being in this social media world where we're fed ideals of people.
Yeah.
And I know this industry really well. And I see people say to me, "Oh, but she's so lovely." I went, "Well, you might want to work with her." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and not in a negative way, but what I'm saying is, you only see a highlight reel. Like you only see the best bits, right, of everybody. And I think sometimes it makes us question ourselves when we do have down days, when we do have those days where we're not as positive.
Do you want me to give you a quick tip?
Go on.
Right. You know our peripheral vision?
Yeah.
So on our outsides of the right, look at that glass.
Yeah.
I want you to stare at it.
Yeah.
But I want you to look outwards on the sides of your eyes whilst looking at that. It's the only way to shut your brain up. So look at that, but I want you to look on the outsides of that glass and stay there with it. So you're looking outwards into your peripheral. But you're keeping your eyes on that, but you're looking to the outside. So you're looking over here, if that makes sense. Your mind can't do two things at once.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it stops it for a second. So
I like
when
that.
you catch yourself in the day, I'm weirdo. I'm like, I just do it. And it stops, it calms everything. It gives you mindfulness in a second.
I've got something for you. I love that, by the way. Right, if I said to you now, name all the green things in this room, like, would you find a lot of green stuff?
Yeah, instantly.
Like instantly, yeah?
Yeah.
Go on to have a little scan. Right, and if I said to you, find all the brown stuff, would you find all the brown stuff?
Yeah.
Instantly. Because that's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So that's what positivity is like.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for positivity, your brain will subconsciously make you find that. And even if something in this room is not really green, you will turn it green.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To make it...
Because you want that.
Because you want that as well. But I think a lot of us don't go out there looking for positivity.
No.
We're looking for problems. We're wired up to find the problems and everything.
But we start our days wrong though, Scott. We're always on our phone. And that's what morning routine is the most powerful routine of my life. I get up, I don't look at my phone, I journal, I do a bit of breath work and I pray. I don't believe in God, like in a religious form, but I believe in the higher self of me. So I sit there and I just I talk about, you know, when you said breath work, I just ask for help. I'm like, what's good? Give me insight for today. And then I get my phone out, you know? And that really sets me up for the day.
It does for me as well, right? I have a better day when I do those things, 100%. But again, it comes back to the fact that it's really difficult to stay in that place in the world that we live in.
I know.
So I think one day, and I think it's on my list now, that I will move abroad. And I'm going to do all this stuff now, if I'm honest, to create a life where I can just find a place that's peaceful.
Yeah.
And I say that, and people are probably, shut up, Scott. There's no way you can live like that. But I do think like you have to have, even if I spend 6 months of the year, like
I'm
somewhere.
the same.
Do you know what I mean?
said that.
I think a half and half, like where I just kind of get away and have that. Do you know what I mean? Because I do think in the world that we live in right now, especially for people like us who are so passionate about self-development, growth, it's really hard.
Very hard.
But to kind of stay in that
But that's
lane.
why we keep building our inner strength and we bring the peace to ourselves. And when you've got that fire and that peace inside of you, nothing outside of us matters. I posted a video of me in St. Lucia and I was in the most beautiful setting and I didn't even care about it. I could be anywhere in the world, but there was no peace. You know what I mean? So I could go to Bali. Take me back 5 years ago, I'd go to Bali. I didn't have a peaceful mind, even though I was in a peaceful setting. So
I'm the same. When I go to like a beautiful holiday sometimes.
I'm not there. I'm fucking ignoring all the beauty. I'm just going to drink.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not absorbing it because that's our fight or flight still. And the meditation will bring you to that, honestly.
And let's just talk a little bit, because I think it's really important as well, just to finish up on that. The body confidence stuff, because I think we touched on this before we started, like, and obviously you became a massive advocate of body confidence and you kind of really empowered the curviness and everything else. And I remember seeing you around and on social media in your underwear and really embracing that. And then now you've obviously been on this like kind of health kick. You're really looking after yourself. And you mentioned that you're kind of getting a little bit of backlash for that. Talk me through it.
Yeah, so I hate the term diet and stuff. So I had a disordered eating for years, man. Like even in the villa, I remember trying to eat like nothing because the cameras on my body.
The food was so good in the villa, by the way.
It was so good, wasn't it? And I got to a place where I was vibing with my size, and that was who I was then. Remember, we evolve every fucking day, every minute we're evolving. And so who I was then, loved the body I was in, dance it, shake it all about, let's advocate for it, let's do some videos, making everyone feel better, that's great. And then what our goal is to become the best version of ourselves. And to me, I wanted to be strong and healthy. What does that mean? My body is going to follow my mindset no matter what. If I wake up and have an avocado with toast and eggs, my body is going to respond to that. The weight that I was holding was the weight of all my fucking trauma. I'm getting rid of it. I'm you know, it's like when I do yoga, I'm moving around the trauma in my body. I'm getting rid of that. And what I got was, because of the weight loss was a side effect of a positive mind. You know that? And no one wanted to see that on my socials. I got a fucking shitload of unfollows. I got, oh, you're fake, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, well, I must be triggering an insecurity inside yourself that's not there yet. And one day you'll get to that bit where you realize that your health and your mindset is a huge power, you know?
It's so true that, because I just did a Feb Reset challenge and I said, listen, my goal now is
you're
not...
always naked, I saw.
Yeah, it's not a set, it's not a goal. My goal is not a set of abs. I will get to a set of abs by looking after myself and being more positive. It's a byproduct now rather than the ultimate goal. Because I've done it before where that's the goal and I've had to restrict my life. I can't go out, I can't do this. And I could do it in 3 months, but I would be really unhappy at the end of it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's balanced.
But I just want to say as well, because I feel for you in that situation, and I think you just described it really well there, that it's like you are not demonizing curvier girls or anything like that. You are basically just being an advocate for looking after yourself and being positive, and how that impacts your body is how it impacts your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly that.
Honestly, guys, I'm saying guys because I'm just speaking to the guys in the room here as well. That has been one of my favorite podcasts, and
thank you, Scott.
I knew it was going to be an eye-opener, but I just love like that deep meaning that you're representing right now, because I'm all about that, and I think it comes with growth. Yeah. And I think like yours has happened like, it seems like, am I right in thinking that the last year has been it's like
cut all my hair off and I was like
no, but it's like compounded, like it's like it's happened, like we say it's happened quick, but it's not, because this level of growth that you're talking about now, that's not a year's work.
No.
That's not a year's work. Like you're well far ahead than me. Like I can tell you are, because I'm on the path of trying to get to where you are. Whereas it's weird, like all those years of compounded, and people might go, like, I know you cannot achieve that level of growth in 1 year. Like what you've done is like literally all that work now. And obviously now you've got the tools and everything else. But I think honestly, you look amazing. You are amazing, Malin. And like, I'm so glad that we made this happen from your dream. And it was meant to happen.
I sound like a nutter.
No, it's meant to happen for a reason, right? Definitely. And I think your purpose through all those tribulations and trials and everything else has been to be a voice for everything that you're doing now. And I think you should be so proud. And I am very grateful for Love Island Series 2 that we connected, and now we need to stay in touch more and do more stuff together.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. And you as well, man.
Thank you. Malin. Now that is what I'm talking about. I am all for that level of deep meaning and spirituality. And I know a lot of people will think it's kind of woo-woo and everything else. When you are on a journey of growth, self-development, you're always looking to grow in so many different ways. Life was thrown out, and she's channeled it into growth, progression, standing self-awareness. I can sit and talk to her all day. I feel sometimes like my life can be tough, but when you sit with someone like Malin, you hear what she's been through and what she survived, it makes you realise that anything is possible. So I hope you've taken so many life lessons from that episode, because I know I have. And I'm so glad that I got to catch up with one of my fellow Islanders. And yeah, life has a weird way of going full circle. And I just want to say thank you. Like, from the bottom of my heart, this series of the podcast is going so well. You guys are just lapping it up, and the response has been insane. So I just want to say thank you for supporting me. Keep tagging me in all your stories and takeaways. On Instagram, Scott.Thomas, and make sure you look up Learning As I Go pod _ on Instagram as well for any kind of sneak peeks and BTS. But yeah, we will be back next week with another phenomenal guest on Learning As I Go.